This is my character at spawn, and this is my character 10 million studs away from spawn. This is called the Null Zone, and I want to make a game in it. Watch the final game at the end because it's way more chaotic than I could have ever thought. The blocks are glitching and they're pushing me around. Yo, what is happening to my character? Everything just got deleted. But before I make the game, we first need to understand what the Null Zone is. Roblox has this weird behavior where the further you get from spawn, the more glitchy and broken the game gets. So you can see right now at 0 studs from spawn, everything's perfectly smooth. You can see all the edges perfectly. But if we go up to say 100,000 studs away, you can begin to see a little bit of glitching and warping in my character, especially when I move the camera. And as we progress further to say 1,000,000 studs, then it gets really bad and everything starts jittering, even the platform. And once we get past 1,000,000, all the parts disappear and our character is completely broken. And even further, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, our character basically despawns, with it glitching in and out sometimes. So after a quick Gemini prompt, I learned that this is from a floating point error. And to help you visualize what a floating point error is, imagine this. So each computer can only store so many digits in these boxes, and every time we move to a bigger number from spawn, the decimal point has to move down a box, so it has less accuracy in the decimal places. This means that it has to round to a bigger or smaller number, causing these glitches in our character because each part of our body is rounding to a different position. And obviously, as you get out to these further distances, there are less decimal places for it to be more accurate. So less accuracy the game is, the more it breaks down and glitches. And I think this will also apply to the collision boxes, so it might be interesting to play with mechanics that use collision boxes in our game. So here is the game plan. We're going to create a small map that will replicate to different distances so players can see the degradation of the game as they progress further and further into the Null Zone. On this map, I want to have both a PvP and parkour aspect of the game, so you, yes you, can experience the collision boxes in 2 different ways. For PvP, I want to have a 1v1 sword arena because these swords rely heavily on hitboxes, and I think it'll be pretty rage-inducing when your hitbox is in a random spot. In addition to these 1v1 arenas, I'll have an obby going around the island as well. I also want to add water terrain because I think Roblox's terrain system will struggle heavily in the Null Zone, and it'll be interesting to see if you can still swim around in the Null Zone. Finally, to connect all these islands in the Null Zone, I'll have portals to teleport the players between them. Before starting on the game, I just want to remind you to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. This is the only way I can make this content in the future, so please subscribe. Now that we have the game plan in place, we gotta get building. Let's create a new Roblox project and get started on the map. So before we start making the game, I'm just gonna quickly delete the base plate. Bye! So for the small map that I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have a basic square island with water running through it. I think it'll look really cool, so let's go make it. So for this game, I think I kind of want to go with like a dreamy vibe. So I'm going to do a pink skybox and have some nice music in the background. This has script, so it might be a virus. Hopefully not. You know what? It's probably fine. Cue the montage. Next, we gotta make a simple obby that the players can hop around on. Now that we got the easy stuff out of the way, it's time for the final boss of this map, the sword arena. At first, I wanted to do a cool 1v1 arena, but then I realized that the hitboxes are going to be messed up, so I wouldn't have been able to reliably detect when only 2 players are within the arena's area. So instead, I'm just going to do a free-for-all arena, and hopefully it doesn't descend into chaos, giving everybody swords. I started off by getting the sword from the toolbox and building the arena platform. It's looking good so far, so now we gotta get started with the coding. I first created a function to detect once the players touch the arena's hitbox to give them the sword. Then after that, I remove the sword from their inventory once they leave the area. I'm pretty happy about how this map turned out, and I'm excited to see what it'll look like once I put it in the Null Zone. My plan for this game is to have our current map replicated along different parts of the Null Zone, so you can slowly see it degrade with distance from spawn. To do this, I have to duplicate the island a few times. Well, I tried going to the islands in the editor, and look at this. It won't even let me like move my camera properly, and it's just tweaking out. Since we have all the islands we need now, the players need a way to travel to them. This is where my portals come in handy, and along with a quick script, we can now walk through each of the islands. So now that we're done duplicating the islands, let's give it a playtest and see how crazy the null zone actually is. See, we already get an error for our furthest island that is 1 billion studs away. I guess the terrain can't generate at that distance from spawn. So here we go to 100,000 studs. So at spawn, everything's perfectly fine. At 100,000, you begin to see a tiny bit of glitching. You can see my character wobbling a little bit, but overall, everything seems pretty normal. So if we go further into 1 million studs, this is where we begin to see the effects of the null zone. My character is completely jumbled, but the collisions still seem to be good. Everything works fine. But you can also see the signs begin to warp a little bit as well. And then once we get to 5 million studs, it's over. Nothing can load. And surprisingly, terrain is the most resilient thing in Roblox to the null zone. Everything got deleted, but somehow the water is still here and it's still functioning. So I'm still swimming around. But I actually can't move anywhere. I'm stuck in this one. Ooh, I can't move anywhere side to side, but I can move this way, which is kind of interesting. I'm like stuck in this little... There's like 2 walls beside me, I don't know why. And we can't even go to 1 billion studs because the teleporter disappeared. But this is very interesting. This is where the game basically completely breaks. In the end, I thought this game was a pretty cool experiment exploring the null zone. And if you want to experience it yourself, my game is linked down in the description. And if you want to see more content like this and encourage me to keep making more, make sure to subscribe, join my Roblox group, and join my Discord server. And I'll see you guys in the next video.